Carter Bryant announces that he is all in on the NBA draft. What does that mean? And does Arizona have a trick up their sleeve?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for giving it a Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, we got a lot to get to on this show. We're going to talk about Carter Bryant declaring for the draft, NBA feedback, the process, what is the next step for Arizona, a smorgasbord of things to talk about here. But first, Carter Bryant has said that he is 100% all in on the NBA draft, and while I think there's probably a little bit of a sense of trying to walk that one back a little bit, I take him at his word. I believe that he is all in, and I don't think there's really any debate about any of this. I think that he is pretty much all in, and we will be talking about in a little bit kind of some of the replacements, possibilities for him. But first, what is his comment? He said, yeah, I'm all in. And then Jeff Borzello put out there and said, well, he hasn't completely shut the door. Unless something drastically different happens, I believe that Carter Bryant is going to declare is going to stay in the draft. I think that he's a very good prospect. He's going to take a little bit of time. I think that that's something that obviously a lot of people need to understand, is that he is a far from a finished product, is evidence of the fact that he averaged 6 and 4 this past season, but he's a very good shooter as well. He can do a lot of different things, and he projects out as a pretty good basketball player. But again, I'm going to sound like a broken record here. It is going to take some time for him. So, like I said, keep that in mind. So I think Arizona has to go with it from the perspective that he's all in, and Arizona has to do basically what's best for them, and we're going to get to that. Now, NBA feedback, what does that all mean? I mean, yes, Carter was going to test very, very well. You watch him, and he's over 6'6". He has a 40-inch vertical leap. He is a 6'11" wingspan, and he's a really, really good kid. Now, again, I'm always going to say this. He's young, but he is a very, very good kid. His upside is immense. Now, will he reach that upside? Who knows? I don't know, and I don't think that really anybody else knows out there as well, but he's very intriguing, and we've talked about a ton of different teams that we could see him going to, and I think the first one is that I don't believe that he's going to get past the 12th pick. As a matter of fact, I'd be stunned if he gets past the 12th pick. And like I said, I believe that he is staying in the draft no matter what he says or what he tries to walk back. And again, that's not a diss at all towards Carter. Like Carter a lot, but it just is what it is at this point. Okay, so now, what are the next steps then for him? He's going to go through the interview process, and like I said, I expect him to stay in the draft. Now, a lot of people, before we get into names, are going to bash Tommy Lloyd, and they're going to say, Tommy Lloyd, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Whatever the case may be, a lot of people that are, just don't quite get it. Carter Bryant has a very, very, very good reputation in the Southern California basketball scene, as does his entire family. Deshaun Bryant is a great dude. Played obviously in college from Long Beach, and he's Carter Bryant's dad. Carter's uncle Trevon is a McDonald's All-American who played at Missouri. He's also from Southern California as well. It's a very well thought of family, and Carter Bryant is a very well thought of kid. I mean, you watch him; he's young. He has a lot of different things. That you watch him, and you're just kind of like, okay, you can kind of see it. Just kind of is what it is. You can kind of see it. But he is like I said, he's going to, it's going to take him a little bit of time to get there. But Tommy Lloyd is well aware of this. Now, I do believe that Tommy Lloyd messed up a little bit. I think that at some point in the game, I got it early on, but after a while, Tommy Lloyd needed to stop playing Trey Townsend as much. Now, you could say, well, Carter played more as the season went on. Carter, in my opinion, should have taken his lumps as the season went, and so that there wasn't as much up and down, because because Trey Townsend just wasn't good enough. That will always be something that won't make a ton of sense for me that Tommy Lloyd did. But again, Tommy Lloyd is one of the winningest basketball coaches in history over his first 4 years, and I am not. I know that's it's hard for some folks to believe, but I am not. But either way, he's a really, really good coach. But I think he does get stuck on playing some favorites from time to time, and I think that's exactly what happened there. Carter should have played more. But the one thing that Tommy Lloyd was not going to do under any circumstances, and I mean any circumstances, was push Carter Bryant out. If Carter Bryant comes to you and says, Coach, I want to test the NBA, but I just don't really know I just don't really know where I'm going to stand. Tommy Lloyd is not going to say, hey, guess what, Carter? Cool, get out of here, and we'll find a replacement. Now, I know it'd be really cool for, and it'd be a lot easier, I think, for a lot of folks, too, to be able to say, all right, well, Carter Bryant is, let's just push him out and let's bring in a transfer portal guy. Let's bring in a Lawan Watts or, somebody like that. That's also not how this works. If you push Carter Bryant out when he says, and keep in mind, he averaged 6-4 this past year, so it's not like it was some foregone conclusion that he was going to go after a year. If you push Carter Bryant out after averaging 6-4, guess what? That Southern California scene, that starts to dry up very, very quickly because that word will get around very quickly that you push Carter Bryant out. That is a stupid move. You don't want to do that. And again, you can just look at it. Look at some of the guys that Tommy Lloyd has recruited in California from a Braden Burries. You look at Braden Burries, he's close with Carter. Carter Bryant was one of the ones telling him, hey, man, you should get to the U of A, you should get here, and you should come back the A. Braden Burries is one of the top 10 players in the entire class. If Carter Bryant does not like his experience, if Carter Bryant is pushed out, whatever the case may be, you probably don't get Braden Burries, and there is a lot of different examples of players that you probably don't get if you push out Braden, or if you push out Carter Bryant. You can go on and on down the list. You look at other guys too, and they are all with clutch as well. You push out Carter, and you're probably not getting Christian Collins. You're probably not getting Taj Ariza. You got to let Carter play this one out. And, like I said, you can believe him, you can not believe him that he was all in, but he is, that's a decision that you got to basically live with if you're the University of Arizona. And I think Tommy Lloyd did a very good job of this. I think that Tommy Lloyd made the best decision that he could make for the U of A, and it's the decision that was honestly the right decision. He is a player that you watch it and you can just tell that, he's a good kid. He's definitely not lying about this. So it is what it is. And again, he's with Clutch. Arizona is going to be recruiting the Clutch scene for a long time. So the last thing that you want to do is annoy somebody with Clutch. Again, that's LeBron James' agency. You don't want to get those folks upset. You don't want to get those folks upset, especially for no reason. So be that as it may, my friends, be that as it may. But again, when you've got a player with a really good rep, you don't want to annoy them. Now, the other thing too is people are like, oh, well, we have moved on from Jamari Phillips or whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean here. All kids are young. Jamari Phillips became a problem. Multiple high schools, et cetera, and he doesn't have any real cachet in Southern California. Carter Bryant is a really, really good kid, is an NBA player, and he's got a lot of cachet in Southern California. So not all situations are created equal, and I think Carter Bryant shows that, and Carter Bryant shows that one in spades, that not all situations are created equal. So that's what Tommy had to do. I think you wish Carter nothing but the best. And he's going to be a good ambassador for the University of Arizona, and I think that's something that Arizona can definitely pick up on a little bit. It's going to be a good thing when you're recruiting Southern California and you got your first one and done from there. That's going to be that's going to be a really, really good spot for the U of A to be in. And I think that the U of A, again, people are like, well, should the U of A have done this? Should the U of A have taken this? Whatever the case may be, the end of the day, this was a decision that you make every single day of the week, and it's going to be something good for Arizona at the end of the day. Now, again, do you wish that he was maybe here for 2 years? Sure. But at the end of the day, he was not here for 2 years, and I think that just is what it is. You're going to be okay. Arizona's going to be okay. Carter Bryant is going to be okay. Now, it's time to start talking about some of the replacements here for the U of A, because there's a few very interesting ones. But first, WayFair, my friends. WayFair. All right, you might say, Mike, Luke, what's WayFair? Well, thanks for asking here. Here's the deal. The days are getting longer, the weather's warming up, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's the perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you're working with a big backyard on a small balcony, WayFair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. Again, WayFair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all for you and the prices that fit your budget. Again, you can get a new patio. You can get a new patio set, some string lights from WayFair at a very, very affordable price. And again, whether you're just entertaining guests or just relaxing solo, shop WayFair to help you unwind. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Go outside with Get outside with WayFair. Again, head to wayfair.com right now. That's wayfair.com. WayFair, every style, every home. Again, a lot of people are using WayFair, and like we say, when a lot of people are using it, there's probably a method to the madness. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now, let's talk a little bit about some of the players that Arizona could be looking at. Now, here's something, too, that we need to be very clear about. Arizona was not caught off guard by this. They didn't just sit around and say, oh, man, well, Carter Bryant, hopefully he comes back because we don't know what we're going to do. And they didn't. Jack Murphy is somebody that knows a lot of people. Jack Murphy has been involved with the international recruiting scene for a long, long time. He knows what he is doing. And again, he's very, very good at what he's doing. And again, whoever they get is going to be an was likely to be an international player. And we're going to go through some of these names. But you might say, well, Arizona banking on an international player to be the replacement. I'm going to say something right now. Dwayne Aristod, before we move on here, Dwayne Aristod is a player that would not surprise me at all if he's better than Carter Bryant at this again, and that's no disrespect to Carter Bryant. Dwayne Aristod, like I said, is just physically, he's a little bit better. He's a little bit just kind of more developed across the line. You look at him, he's a man. He's a grown man. He's 40. Well, he's not 40. He's like 17. But he looks like he's like 40. And he is like I said, he's a big dude. And he's uber athletic. He can handle the ball. Not a great shooter, obviously, but he's a pretty good ball handler as well. There's just a lot to like. He could have gone pretty much anywhere in the country, and he was recruited knowing that he was going to probably play immediately. Now, he had a foot injury, but by all accounts, that foot injury is in the past. It is a footnote. And he's going to be ready to rock and roll this season. That's obviously a good thing for the U of A. He's going to get a crack at it. He's going to get a crack at it, being able to play a lot of minutes. And if he's if he's ready and he's ready to go, he's going to be able to play as many minutes as he possibly can. Then you got ADO. I know ADO is a punchline for a lot of people. I don't quite get it. Is ADO great? No, but I think way too many people pick on ADO, and I think that's something that has to stop. We don't want people picking on ADO because ADO isn't that bad. ADO is a really good three-point shooter, and ADO showed against Oregon that he is super, super clutch. You need to have people like ADO because ADO, like I said, ADO is a, he understands his role. There's going to be some games where ADO plays a ton. There's going to be some games where ADO just, he doesn't play very much at all. But either way, guess what? That's still you still need to have somebody like that knows his role. He's also not going to be super expensive, so you got that. But ADO is a nice player to have on a team. He's a really, really nice player to have on a team. Should he be starting on a top 10 team? Probably not. But at the end of the day, you still want an ADO on your team. Now, so Dwayne Aristod, I mean, we can call it what it is. Dwayne Aristod is the, out of those two guys, he's the one that provides you the highest upside, not breaking any news. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the players that are overseas and international guys. Now, here, there's some people, like a Tyon Grant Foster. You haven't really heard much about him from Grand Canyon. He could be in the mix, but like I said, I believe that this is going to be an international player that Arizona goes out and gets, so let's talk about some of them. First, Luke Henshall. Henshall, out of Australia. Know him a little bit because of Bryce Cotton, my guy Bryce Cotton. Good player. Again, is he Carter Bryant? Does he have that kind of upside? No. But he's also somebody that, you kind of look at and you're like, ooh, he can do a few things. Pretty well-rounded player. And, I think you could see him stepping in and being a 8, 9, 10 point per game guy. Now, is he going to be an All-American? Probably not. But he can do he can do some different things. He's been playing against really good players for a long time. There's some things to like about him. Now, Philip Jovic, very, very intriguing, very, very intriguing prospect. He is somebody that, it sounds like he might be struggling to get into schools, but Jovic is another one that he's got a little bit of NBA potential to him. Smooth stroke, can move around a little bit, and not only can he move around a little bit, he's also got some length to him as well, and he's been playing against really good competition. Again, is going to be an All-American? No, but I think there's no reason to believe that he can't be a steady role player, and he can't be a steady role player pretty much right out the bat. I think that there is, like I said, he's somebody that I can see really kind of, making a little bit of that jump there for the U of A. And if you got him in there along with Aristod, along with ADO, I think you're looking at some pretty good stuff. Then you got another couple other guys too. Nicholas Avdelis. I'm not going to, and again, these are just names that I've looked up. I don't have really any inside information on that. More of the same though. Again, all of these guys are pretty skilled basketball players. You might say, Mike, but are they tough? Are they, can they do a lot of different things? Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're solid. Again, are they going to be all conference? Probably not. But I think somebody like Luka, who we're going to get to here in just a second, love the name Luka, by the way. Generally, international guys named Luka, they turn out to be okay. So he's somebody, obviously, to keep an eye on. Now, Ruben Dominguez is another one. Ruben Dominguez does nothing well, really, but he's a really, really good three-point shooter. And I know that the spacers are very, very, big on shooting threes. And they don't believe that Tommy Lloyd is going to be able to do basically anything if he doesn't have great three-point shooters. They said last year, though, that Arizona wouldn't have a good offense. And guess what? It did have a good offense. It was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I think we're kind of at the same stage now where it's we're pretty much at the point right now where it's like, all right, I think that you're just kind of look at it and you're just kind of like, it is what it is. But he's a really good three-point shooter. He can't do a lot else, so be that as it may. Now, we're going to talk about a player that is probably the leader in the locker room, leader in the clubhouse here, just from my uneducated opinion. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now Luka. Again, not Luka Doncic, but this is an interesting player here. I think if you were to ask most people, they would probably say that that's the one that they think ends up at Arizona. There's been some chatter. He's the best one out of all these. He's really, really good, and he could make an instant contribution. Physically, he's ready to go. He could possibly play in the NBA. Don't know for a fact that he is, but he could possibly play in the NBA. Jack of all trades again. I think he's probably got the highest upside of all these people. I don't know this for a fact, but I would certainly imagine that Jack Murphy knows who he is, that Jack Murphy has probably been on him for a while, and there's reason to see why. There's a lot of reasons to see why. You watch him, and he's like, you can just kind of tell that, all right, basketball, he's good at it, and he's a little bit more physical as well. Not only is he a little bit more physical, he's also somebody that, you watch him and you're just kind of like, all right, he doesn't totally have that Euro Zapruder film type feel to it, where it's like, well, I don't really know how good this guy can really be. That's something that I think you look at and you're like, all right, but if that's the guy, that would be the one that I like the most. That would be the one that I like the most out of all these guys, and that you watch and you're just kind of like, all right, that's I see it. I see kind of what they're looking at, but that's kind of where we're at. I do like that a lot. I think that this is going to be like I said, I think it's going to be a fascinating. I think that's going to be a fascinating situation where it's like, all right, well, is that going to be the guy? And I think we will find out that maybe that is the guy. And if that is, that I think you've got a nice little troika of him, Aristod, Nadio. We'll find out. We're going to know more as time comes on. But again, at the end of the day, we've also got to understand something here. That Tommy Lloyd knows what he's doing. I think these people that think that Tommy Lloyd was just sitting around, he's like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Those people don't know what they're talking about. Now, again, it's probably what. And again, I felt it was very important to talk about all of the politics that go in here, all of the politics that go into this with Carter, because again, you do not want to alienate the Southern California scene, especially if somebody's with Clutch. Arizona is going to be recruiting Clutch for a long time. They are going to give all of those guys the benefit of the doubt, and quite frankly, they deserve it. Carter Bryant could have gone other places and probably made a little bit more money, probably maybe get a little bit more playing time, but he was a good player throughout. And he did exactly what the University of Arizona needed him to do. And Tommy Lloyd rewarded that. Again, Tommy Lloyd is not going to push anybody to the curb and say, this guy right here, don't really want him, don't really need him. You've got to look big picture here, because Tommy Lloyd doesn't plan on just being the U of A basketball coach for the next couple of years. He plans on being the U of A basketball coach for a long time, and I think that's the part about this that, I think that we need to be very, very excited about. And so he's looking big picture here, and the people that are like, well, I'll just boot Carter to the curb, this and that, they don't understand how basketball works. They don't come close to understanding how basketball works. So there's obviously that. I do look at it and I think to myself that this is a situation here where you're kind of like, all right, well, where what's that next move? We're going to find out. But I do believe that Arizona knows exactly what they're going to do, and I do believe that they're going to end up with a good team. I believe this is still going to be a top 10 team. With or without Carter Bryant, I believe this is going to be a top 10 team. We also need to reiterate one last time, though, that Carter he didn't officially put his foot down and say that that he was going to that he was 100 that he was basically saying there's no chance of going back to Arizona. They kind of walked that back a little bit, but like I said, I don't really believe that. I believe Carter's all in, and I don't really blame Carter. I will say this though, just a little bit of advice: don't don't take, if you've decided that you're all in, just do it. Just say it that you're all in and that you're not coming back. I think that's probably the easiest way to go about it. I have no problem with how they've handled any of this, none whatsoever. In fact, I've stuck up for him a ton on Twitter. But I will say that I think if you already know or it's clear and you kind of string things on either way, I think that's going to annoy some people. So, but again, it's not my life. It is, and they're good people, and he's a really, really good prospect. So we will be operating under the pretense, though, that he has declared that he is staying in the NBA draft, and I believe there's every reason to indicate that. Now, we're going to keep talking about some of those players that I talked about. We'll maybe talk about a few more, and and who knows? Maybe there's a domestic player or two that is worthy of being able to talk about that. So we shall find out. But Arizona, like I said, Jack Murphy and Tommy Lloyd. know exactly what they are, know exactly what they're doing. This didn't take them by surprise. But wish the best for Carter Bryant. Great kid, great family. You know, anytime you get a kid that's basically on the verge of realizing their dreams, you always want to root for them. Again, don't be one of those people that isn't rooting for somebody because you're like, well, you know, I don't really want to have to root for him. Whatever the case may be, it's a great kid. He's just realizing that opportunity. All right, we'll be back with you tomorrow, though, talking more about this and everything that goes into Carter Bryant's decision and who could some of those next people be. Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. Locked On, your team every day.